Welcome to today's episode. We're diving into a pretty crucial topic. What comes after graduation? Specifically, how do we prepare ourselves during university to actually be valuable in the workforce?
That's right. A lot of people talk about college being a time to accumulate knowledge, but there's this hidden layer. What kind of preparation do you really need to succeed in your 20s, 30s, and beyond?
Exactly. The question is, what should university students be focusing on in those 4 years? We often hear about students working hard to get grades, but are those grades enough when they graduate?
I think the key is that while grades matter, there's something more fundamental. You need to be preparing for what you'll actually do in the real world. University shouldn't just be about passing exams, but about developing skills that society needs.
Right. And that brings us to an interesting point. In your 40s, you should be practicing what you've learned in the real world, testing if it's right or wrong through experience.
Yes, the 40s are when you're expected to truly implement your skills. You test your theories, see what works, and learn from mistakes. If you've learned well, failure shouldn't be as common.
It's like being in a lab, but the lab is the workforce. If you've been diligent in your studies, this is when you'll shine. Your work will speak for itself, and as a result, the company will reward you appropriately.
Exactly. And this doesn't just affect your 40s, it has a long-term impact. By the time you're in your 50s, if you've been contributing and proving your worth, you've upgraded your life. You become someone who's respected for the work you've done over the years.
So in your 50s, you should be doing work that has meaning and purpose. By this point, you've built a foundation of respect, and as you hit your 60s, you continue to be recognized for your contributions.
And respect is the key. At that stage of life, you're not in it for the accolades or the praise. You're in it for the fulfillment of doing meaningful work and being respected for it.
That brings us to an interesting dilemma. When young people enter the workforce, they often prioritize money over everything else. It's common to hear, "How much will I get paid?" when they're still fresh out of college.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. If you enter a job solely focused on the paycheck, you're missing the bigger picture. The question should be, what can I learn here? How can I grow? Because the experience will guide you to better opportunities.
That's why when we talk about job interviews, we need to shift the focus from salary to a more holistic view. Employers should be looking for someone who's driven by passion and a willingness to learn, not just someone who's asking for a paycheck right off the bat.
Right. And when an employer asks, what are you looking for in a job? If the answer is purely about money, you've missed the point. The right response should focus on the value you can contribute and how you're ready to learn.
It's a mindset change. It's not about getting rich right away, but about building your skills, proving your value, and gradually earning respect and proper compensation over time.
Speaking of respect, here's something to consider. Many critics argue that universities are failing to train students for real-world jobs. Companies are even turning to vocational high schools because graduates are more job-ready. So does that mean universities are becoming obsolete?
It's a bit more complicated than that. The issue lies in how we view education. Vocational schools often give students practical skills, but universities offer something different: critical thinking, problem solving, and broader knowledge. But the question remains, are universities preparing students for the real world?
And here's the catch. Graduates from traditional universities often know how to write papers and take exams, but they lack hands-on experience. So when they enter the workforce, they can struggle with real-world tasks. Employers can't afford to invest months into training someone for basic tasks.
That's why a lot of companies prefer vocational high school graduates, because they've already learned practical skills. These students are ready to step into a role and get things done without needing extensive training.
Exactly. The university system often leaves a gap. Students may have the theoretical knowledge but lack the experience that's so essential in the workforce.
And that's why we see more companies requiring internships or practical work experience. They want to ensure that when someone enters the workforce, they're ready to contribute without constant hand-holding.
The reality is, even after graduating from university, you have to continue learning in the workplace. College is just the starting point. It's not the end-all be-all.
So, to wrap up today's conversation, let's leave our listeners with this. In your 20s, focus on learning and gaining experience, not just on grades or salary. Your 40s and beyond will reflect the foundation you build now.
And remember, don't blame society for the struggles you might face. It's all about how well you prepare and adapt to the changes around you. The more prepared you are, the smoother your journey will be.
Definitely. Thanks for tuning in today. We hope you found these insights helpful as you navigate your own career journey.